take one of those off?
Hold on 1 second. I can't see you right now. Setting up this YouTube right now.
Okay,
Just give me 1 second, please.
thank you.
All right.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, how are you?
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Jacqueline, we have you on the phone twice, on the call twice.
I don't know why. I'm
so
on my cell phone.
We're gonna remove one of these. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, very good. Okay, so welcome everybody. This is our shop talk with U.P.B.C.A. My name is Willie Lightfoot, the president of the United Professional Barbers and Cosmetologists Association. And I'm here, basically, we're gonna have a conversation with Miss Cynthia Council today on mental health behind the chair. Before we even start that, our host today will be Erica Brown. We
Hello.
have, hey Erica, we have some of our other members of our board with us today. I believe we have our Vice President, Wade Davis, is also on the line.
Yes, sir.
And I thought we had Johnny Scott was with us at one point.
I'm still here.
All right, hey, my brother Johnny Scott is with us. And of course, it looks like we have some guests of Cynthia Banks and Patricia Williams McGahee. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a conversation about mental health. And we're going to ask Cynthia Council and as well as Erica leading us into that conversation. But before we have that conversation, we're going to launch a poll just to see kind of where our audiences are right now. And then after that, I'll turn it over onto Erica, who will introduce Cynthia Council. This video is also being streamed live on YouTube. When we're done, we will share this video. It will be on our website, www.upbca.org. We'll also share it on our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram pages as well. We know that with this COVID thing that's going on, as well as all the other Black Lives Matter and the different issues that we're dealing with, that we were already dealing with even before all of these things happened. We know mental health was something that is very somewhat taboo to talk about, especially in the Black and Brown community. But we felt that it was a topic that was necessary for us to talk about. Oftentimes, we as barbers and beauticians, we end up being a psychiatrist, if you will, to others, but then who do we talk to, right? So I think it's important that we continue this conversation around mental health. And so we're gonna hit you with this poll, and we would like you to take a few seconds to take the poll. There are 4 questions on the poll. Can you guys see that? Shake your head yes if you can see it. Okay, great. We got 4 of 9. Five of 9. 6 of 9. 7. All right. Okay, so that's everybody. All right, we're going to end the poll and we're going to share the results. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, have you thought about mental health and well-being in your salon, barbershop, or home? Most people said yes. Overall, how do you rate your mental health? Most people rated their mental health good. We had one person say unknown. Do you feel confident to inquire about your clients' well-being and mental health? We had 5 people say yes. 2 said not inquired. Is there any mental health issues in your family that you are aware of? 5 said yes. one said no, one said unsure. All right, thank you for taking that results. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Erica Brown.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the welcome to Mental Health Behind the Chair. Basically, what I wanted to get across is the stigma around mental illness. Stigma that surrounds mental illness makes it especially hard to discuss, because when someone hears about mental illness, they think that someone is crazy or should be in an insane asylum, and that's not the case. Now, once you figure out and once you learn about mental illness and see its signs, it's like when you're considering buying a new car at a dealership and you decide you want a red car, then suddenly you see a lot of red cars in a row. That's basically just once you start recognizing, you'll see the mental illness. It comes in all types of different arrays of forms of life. Now, our guest speaker, her name is Cynthia Council, and I want to go over her credentials. Cynthia, she's a licensed clinical worker. She has her master's in social work. Cynthia has a private practice for the last 6 years. She works with the Judicial Process Commission Reentry Program for Men and Women, which is also known as JPC. She works with the Mobile Crisis Team. She's been with them for over 20 years. She's worked with the City School District for 22 years as a family and a child counseling. Now, as hairstylists, we are not afraid to ask clients a little bit more, because we get a rapport. We have a certain relationship with our clients, so we tend to be able to speak to our clients. They tend to release and come to us and tell us their issues and their problems. And we touch so many people literally and figuratively that it's a very intimate shampooing, coloring, cutting hair. And because of what we do, it gives us a window of opportunity to talk about situations that may be quite difficult to talk about. We do not need a license in psychology, or we don't have a license in psychology, but a lot of people sit in our chairs and talk about a lot of the same problems that they will tell their therapist. And also, if you know someone who has mental illness or has committed suicide, right now, Cynthia is going to go over everything that we can prevent, we can try to prevent, and we can guide them in the right direction. So then that way they can get the proper care that they need. So Cynthia, it's on you now.
Okay. Well, oh my God. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, my God.
We can hear you. We just got a little feedback. We may take your computer off and just listen to your voice. Okay? That's what we're gonna do. Just keep talking. Just do your thing.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah, that sounds a lot better. Now I lost you guys.
Okay.
That's
Can
okay.
you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Talk
So
directly into your phone.
I'm gonna talk. Okay. So what I wanted to really talk about, Eric and I, was trying to discuss what it is that we really want people to know today. And I think that, on myself, when I go to the hairdresser, a lot of times, we talk to our hairdressers as much as you almost talk to your therapist.
Just one second, Miss Cynthia. Just
Yes.
take your phone off a speaker and talk directly into your phone.
I am.
Okay.
There's no speaker on.
Okay.
I'm talking into my phone. Can you hear? Can you
Turn your volume up.
Okay. Okay. Oh, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think I had the phone upside down. No, okay. Anyways, so the thing is, I really wanted to talk about today, I think when people think about mental health, they think about, well, I'm not crazy. There's a difference between your mental health and mental illness. When I was looking up the research on this, because when I think about it, I think about, well, I deal with a lot of mental illness when I work at the University of Rochester, but sometimes we deal with mental health issues also. But when I looked at the definition, it said mental health refers to cognitive, which is how we think and how we process our thoughts, in behavior, and that's what we do, watching what people do. And the other thing is emotional well-being. And it says it is about all of how people think, feel, and behave. Now, one of my terms that I use, I say, when we think, what we do, and what we say sometimes are out of sync. You're thinking one thing, you'll talk to somebody and then they'll be saying, saying something, but what they're doing doesn't match what they're saying and actually what they're doing. So that means sometimes I say we're out of sync. And a lot of times our own thinking kind of, what I call the subconscious kind of guides us. And we don't even know that sometimes, why did I just do that? Or why did I just say that? Because that's how we operate. We're thinking one thing on the surface and underlining that there's other things going on. So they say people sometimes use the term mental health to mean absence of mental disorder. Now that's something else. Now we talk about, I'm depressed or I have anxiety. Those are the two major things that we see in our society today. And I say that there's some theorists that believe that everything is based on a level of anxiety. And I agree with that because we deal with anxiety on a regular basis. Like Erica and I preparing for this thing today, we're both like saying, I'm really anxious. But there's good anxiety too. There's good stress. There's something called eustress. That's when you're preparing for something. And then there's the stress when you overdo it and you're having stomach aches and butterflies and things like that. And I'm thinking with this pandemic, with this happening, I think people have been so isolated and been, up in the house, and maybe they haven't been around each other that much, or maybe you got more kids in the house than you're used to having. And then now that your first time to get out of the house, you're going to show up at that barber shop, you're going to show up at that salon, and now you're going to get that opportunity to just vent. So I would say that more than anything, you guys as the people who are doing this whole talking behind the chair, you want to listen. And what you want to listen for is, I'm just overstressed. I can't seem to get things done. I don't feel like getting up in the morning. I don't feel like doing anything. I'm losing weight or I'm gaining weight. I'm eating too much food or I'm just having a hard time making it every day, getting out of that bed. Those are the kind of things you're saying, well, have you thought about talking to somebody about that? Just going to talk. Because what a therapist tends to do, and what a good therapist, is just going to listen. They're not going to judge you. They're not going to say anything. They're just going to listen to you. So that's what you're looking for. Because, like I said, there's conditions such as stress, depression, anxiety. They can all affect our mental health and disrupt a person's routine. And that's what we're looking for. Can you function? Can you function on a regular basis? So mental health is common. We talk about our mental health is our common use of many conditions that doctors recognize that sometimes they can be psychological disorders that have physical roots. So when I say that, that means that you may have a lot of headaches or backaches, or you're finding that you're having problems, I keep having this problem with my legs, I keep having that, and sometimes it starts with that can be depression. Depression can start off as a physical thing, but then they don't find anything physically wrong with you. So it's probably something to do with your mental. Some of the mental illness and mental problems are the leading cause of disability in our society. It's one of the most disabling things that can happen, more so than our physical. So I would say that, things like what's going on now, the social, your financial circumstances, and biological factors, and our lifestyle choices can all shape a person's mental health. All of those things can affect us. So I think that's how I see it. And we talk about a large proportion of people with mental health disorders have more than one condition, can have more than one condition at a time. And some of those common things, like I said, are anxiety disorders, mood disorders. We see people, 1 minute they can be upset, next minute they can be happy. Those are called mood swings. You're like, well, yesterday you were like this. But that's what happens. And something more severe could be schizophrenia. And people talk about schizophrenia. It's not about how you're one way and next day you're another. That's a real condition. and it really changes everything about you. It's kind of like odd thinking. And then some of the other things that add to our mental illness or mental health problems are restlessness. You can't sleep at night. You got muscle tension, or you can't sleep. And one of the questions I always ask when I'm doing an assessment, can you fall asleep, stay asleep, or you have trouble waking up? Those are my questions when I talk about sleep. So I think those are some of the things we think about. And I see that when Erica and I was talking about this, the mental health thing too is that, like she said, there's 60% of employees say they feel more motivated and more likely to recommend their organization as a place to work if the employer took action to support well-being. Promoting good mental health. That's what you want to do. Make it clear that mental health, well-being of all your employees is at the top of your priority. That's what you want to do. And like I said, I think you guys who are behind this chair, you want to think about your own mental health before you even get to your clients. I think that's number one. Can you guys hear?
Yes, ma'am. So Cynthia, this is shop talk. So we're gonna open it up we also very fortunate to have another clinician on the line, which is Patricia Williams-McGahee as well. So this should be a nice, robust conversation. And so we'd like to field a few questions to you, if you don't mind.
No, I'd love that. That's what I want the most.
So how does one recognize that they have a mental health problem?
Okay. And it's different for different people, like we just said. I mean, I have an example of, we got a call in from a lady who was saying, their daughters are saying that their mom was having difficulty with, heart pounding, and she was having this shakes and shivers and things like that. And so they said, we did all the physical things. The first thing you want to do before you say somebody have a mental condition, you want to rule out anything medical. That's the first thing you got to do. Have you been to the doctor? Have you talked to your doctor? And they did all that. And when I first heard the case, I thought, well, I'm going to say to them, they got to take her to the doctor. And when they said we did that, we went to urgent care twice. We took her to emergency. They found nothing physical. We took her to a doctor, and the doctor just kind of gave her some kind of anti-whatever. And the mother couldn't respond to that. She just got even sicker. And they said, so we're like, okay. And the doctor said, well, this pandemic is really affecting everybody. That wasn't an answer. They're still saying the mother is having difficulty. But, so I listened and I said, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we do a full assessment and ask you some more questions? And so one of the things is you want to know, when did it start? And was there something that happened just before it? Is there other things going on in your life that may be affecting this? Did somebody just die? Was there a change in your life? There's all those different things. So you kind of have to look at is there something different? Or like, say somebody died in, say, next month, and you start feeling down. That can be because your brain is remembering that loss for that time of year. So there's it's so many different things. So you need a good assessment. So you may want to, talk to somebody you trust and, and say, how does it sound to you? How does it sound to you what I'm saying? Or what's, or you're thinking about different things that are going on with you that just are different that day. You just don't feel like yourself. I think that's one of the main things. Something just doesn't feel right in you. But like I say, bottom line is you want to rule out anything medical first and make sure there's nothing medically going on. Because in terms of mental health issues and mental illness, I think everything is combined. Everything is connected. The physical, the emotional, and the mental. They're all connected. So that's how I see it.
Okay, Miss Cynthia, another question. These are my personal questions, so I know everyone's host and everything, but I just have my own personal questions. What as someone who obviously I run a shop, I got people coming in all the time. Mm-hmm. What signs because I know we're not clinicians, so our job is obviously not to sit there and think we can diagnose people, of course, but we can refer people, right? And so my thing is, two questions. What are the signs? And then where do I tell people to go?
Okay. Well, like I said, you're not sleeping well. Maybe you're having difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep. How's your eating? How's your, do you feel like you just don't want to get up in the morning? You don't feel like you don't want to be around people? I mean, so this is one of the symptoms too. You just don't want to be around. And some people have been comfortable, isolated in their house, and now they got to come back out. Anxiety is just about being around a lot of people. And I'm getting a lot of people who I don't even see because they said, I'm good, I'm home now. So the major symptoms is the sleeping, the eating, you really don't want to deal with things. You have mood swings, you're more agitated, things like that. And then one of the things you can do, you can call 211 anytime and just say, I need to make a referral. And mobile crisis team comes right to your home. So we don't show up in a white coat. We look like two people showing up. In a regular car, we drive Ford Focuses, and we drive like a Subaru, Forester, and we have a Ford, different cars, and we're in regular clothes. It's two people showing up, two women, a man and a woman. We had some minorities on the team, not as many as we used to, but we're still here. I'm one of the people who've been there from, the time that, and I want to give a shout out to the person who built this team, and it was a Black man. I have to tell you that it was E.J. Watkins. That team was nothing before he made it. He called it the Rochester Community Mobile Crisis. I want to give a plug to him. He lives in the 19th ward and still lives there, so he was one of the best bosses. And doctors and nurses had that team, but he's the one that made it what it was, and I want to give him that plug. So you can call that number. I have a private practice, and that's through Life Solutions, it's called, psychotherapy. So that's a practice. There's many, you can go to clinics, but if you call 211, they will connect you. I have another number to call, and I told Erica, I know you guys said you posted things. I have some really nice colorful posters that you guys can put in your shops to give to people when they come, and I can give you the direct number. That number is 529-3721. That's direct in our office. We now have clinicians who answer the phone. So either 211 or that number I just gave you. And if you forget everything, just remember 211. So you can just tell them. And last thing I want to say, Will, is that I was telling this to Erica too, if there's somebody you think, oh, they need to talk to somebody before they leave my establishment, we can come any place, and you can say, well, they can still be private. We can bring them out with the pandemic, we're not bringing them in the car. We can take them someplace. We can meet them at wherever you need to meet. So that's my last. Go ahead.
And I have a question. Say, for example, if you have someone in the salon and it seems like they're having some type of mental episode, something's going on, what would you suggest that we do to try to calm them until we get assistance?
I would take them, if there's a place, I don't know, you guys just have the one area, one person would have to just take them maybe outside and just, get them one-on-one. You don't want to do, just say, can you come with me for a minute? Let's step outside and talk and see what's going on. Can you tell me what's going on? Because you don't want to do it in front of the rest of your clients in the shop. Take them outside and then just ask them, how can I help you? What's going on with you right now? What do you need? What's going on? That kind of thing. Do you need me to call somebody? The family. You start with family. That's the first thing. Is there somebody I can call? And how can I help you? Just ask those questions. Simple.
Mm-hmm. All right. Another question. You have the client in your chair, and they're not themselves. What can you look for to determine that there's something going on with them? What are the signs?
Well, first of all, you ask them if they're not speaking to you, and maybe they just stop talking to you. Then you just say, just nod if you can hear me, like, and they're not saying. You're saying they're not saying anything to you. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying if you can tell that they're not themselves. You can tell that they're easily agitated and they're just not themselves, and you know that. What can you do to try to to get them to talk to you, or what can you do to try and prevent to try and find out
From
who's
them, from the
gonna talk to
escalating.
you? Yes.
Yeah. Well, like I just said, you can say it sounds like you're not, it seems that what I'm hearing is it sounds like you're not doing too well right now. Is there anything, again, it sounds like you're pretty upset. I don't know, do I have that right, or am I wrong, or is there something else going on? Because what you're trying to do is figure out what's going on. You don't want people to, you don't want to assume, did something happen the day before you got to the shop? Are you upset about something? Did you have a loss? What's going, it's the same question. It sounds like to me that you're upset about something. I wouldn't say it sounds like you're angry. It sounds like you are having a hard time dealing with something. We don't want to assume that people are angry. You don't want to assume that they're mad or whatever. You just say, it sounds like to me that you're having a difficult time dealing with something today. Because the first thing that somebody's going to say, I'm not angry, so don't try to label what you're sensing, even though you may think that. Because I think it's the same thing. What would you want said to you if you're upset? You want to say, you're angry. It sounds like you're really angry today. The first thing they may become defensive and not want to talk to you, because nobody wants to be told they're angry. And just say, it sounds like you're having a difficult time. Is there any way I can help you? It's hard seeing you like this, because I know usually you're not like this when you come in the shop. So something must be going on. So how can I be of help to you? Whatever you do, try not to label their emotions. Let them do it. Because they say, so-and-so right, I'm angry. So then you're off and running. And sometimes the other thing you guys want to know, that they may be projecting everything onto you. There's nothing that can be done right. No matter what you did, it's not going to turn out. I don't know who you are cutting my hair today, because it looks a hot mess, or I didn't want this, I didn't ask for this haircut, so why you cut, and it's like, well, what can I do to make it better for you? Is there anything else I can do? Because, maybe no matter what, you're the person there, and they're going to take it out on you today.
Yeah.
So that can happen. And you just have to eat it sometimes and not go toe to toe with them, because it's not you. It's what's going on for them, but they're using you as that tool. They're we call it is projection onto you. Because our kids do that to us sometimes. They're mad about something and they come in and yell at you about it. So it's the same thing, or our spouses, or we do it to each other, our friends. So it happens.
Also, I would like to say, as far as when you're in a salon, because I'm not sure, I think everybody on here is majority owners. I think that they should support the employees if the employee does have some type of mental issue, and don't try to segregate them, like separate them from everybody else, make them feel like something's wrong with them. You got to support them when they have mental issues.
Say that last part again.
I said that if you're the owner of the salon, or you're the manager of the salon, and there's an employee that experienced mental health issues and have mental health problems, in order to keep the workplace cohesive and keep everybody happy, you can't just like finger this person out. Because I know in the salons and the barbershops, they play the dozens, and you'll pick at the person, but we have to be a little bit better with that by noticing that this person does have an issue, and try not, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, and try not to point the blame at them or pick at them and embarrass them in front of people. I see that, like when I used to take my kid to the barber shop, I see that a lot when, you know, and you can see the person's looking kind of upset and frustrated, but they keep going and going and going. So as a team and as a salon manager, you should be able to recognize that and be like, hey, come here for a minute, let's talk, da da da. You know, just try to.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, you said it right. I think that's what you have to do. You just try to have to take them aside and support them through whatever they're going through. You know, what can I do to help? You know, or do you just need some time alone? Do you need to, you know, take a step outside or walk around for a minute, get some fresh air or whatever? You know, what would help?
And
what would
also,
help you?
Cynthia,
and also we have. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Cynthia has her hand up for a while. She had a question.
Yeah.
Go
And
ahead.
sometimes, you know, I feel that people may have something going on and they don't realize it. And if you try
Exactly.
to ask, they don't realize it themselves, or even if they do realize, they may not want to discuss it. They're trying to hide it from you, but you notice it anyway. And so situations, I feel that maybe you have to handle it different. You recognize it and you may really feel that way, even though they may deny it or don't want to admit it, or they don't know that they have something going on. But you as a stylist, you know, you just have to let it go and just be kind and help them to deal with whatever they're dealing with. Then maybe later at another time, they may talk to you about whatever they, you know, when I was here last, oh, this was going on, you know, or whatever, or maybe they won't. But we have to, you know, recognize who wants to talk and who don't, and then just to realize our limitations, or just to not limitations, but realize that we, you know, we have to, you know, respect how they feel, what they want to discuss and what they don't want to discuss, because we're not doctors. And even if we were doctors, you know, sometimes people don't even they don't want to admit stuff to professionals. You know?
Right. And because the one thing people are afraid of is being judged. You know, and I think even in a therapist, you know, I used to work at St. Mary's in the Bulls Head Plaza there. And I remember a lady saying, I've come in here like 10 times, but I have never come through the door because I was afraid. You know, people kept saying to her, they're going to think you're crazy for coming here. And then when she finally got through the door, she said, wow, this was not what I thought it was going to be. You know, I thought, you know, people were going to, you know, judge me and tell me I was this or I was that. And, you know, all this time I could have just came in and just talked to people, because if you have a good therapist, they're going to take you where you are, not where they want to take you. And I would say the same thing, like you just said, that was exactly right. You know, maybe they don't want to, you can hear it, but you're saying that's why I said the main thing you can do is just listen, you know, and then maybe the next time they come, they may say something to you because they're testing to see, you know, how are you listening to them? You know, are you judging? Are you just making comments? Are you kind of like, what? You know, if you said something like that, they're like, okay, maybe I can't talk about this. They're going to think I'm a little weird or crazy, or, you know, or that's unusual, or whatever the case may be. But like I said, the main thing you want to do is listen. And then you can, you know, and if they go on to talk about something else and you heard something in that last part of their conversation, you're right, take them where they are. Unless you're hearing something that really sounds like, you know, I'm worried about you. And you can say, you know, some of the stuff you just said to me, you know, I'm a little worried. I just want you to know. And listening to that, like if some woman is going through abuse or something like that, you know, you can just say, you know, there's help out there. I just want you to know. And if you need some help, I can get it for you. And then you can, you know, get help for them, you know, talk to Erica, you know, have her contact me, or have her contact Pat or somebody. There's a lot of supports out there that people don't know about, or they're afraid to access. So I think, there's all these options, and just say, I can, whatever you need, let me know. I can get information for you or a phone number for you and let you call yourself. So if you're hearing something too that makes you sound a little bit like worried about them, you can say, you know, and then maybe the question to ask, are you safe? Do you feel comfortable? You know, is there anything more that I can do? I just want you to know there is help, and the help can be discreet. Doesn't always have to be out there help. So just offer them all those different options.
All right. We have Patricia Williams McGay has a question and wants to add to the conversation, and DeJambra also wants to add to the conversation.
Okay.
Yes. Hi. Good evening, everybody. Hi, Cynthia.
I know you.
Yeah. How you doing?
How you? Good. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you. When I heard that you were going to be speaking tonight, I said, "Oh, absolutely, Willie. I definitely need to." That's my girl right there. I said we've worked together in the past on several projects, but I just want to say, as we have I'm a licensed clinician as well. As we have a physical well-being, we have a mental well-being, and what people don't realize. Okay, which it is a stigma a lot with mental health. There's a mental wellness and a mental malness, as you have physical wellness and physical disabilities, conditions. But we haven't come to the place where we recognize that's inside our body too, our brain. Okay, now we have a physical and mental well-being and mal-being at times because it ranges. It can go from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum, be very severe, okay, where you may need medications because you have a chemical imbalance. Then there are other things that maybe just talk therapy or going to church, talking to someone that you can get those feelings out, physical activity, changing your diet and so forth. There are a number of things that can help you in this area. But we also have an emotional well-being. Sometimes people emotionally are out of kilter, and that can happen as a result of a loss and other things that are happening, different challenges, employment, losing a job, different things like that, that they're just the daily stresses of life. And you'll find people emotionally acting not like themselves, out of sorts, as Cynthia was saying, disjointed to a degree. But I really come to find out that your effect, it affects you, and how you can notice that people are having difficulty is because when you realize that it's starting to affect your daily functioning in your relationships with your significant other, in relationships with your children, friends, and so forth, as well as problems at work and school. And so when you start to see it affecting your daily functioning, that becomes really concerning. Those are identifiers as to why you may have some mental concerns, okay? And no one is saying that you have it to the degree that it's so severe, but when it starts to affect your daily functioning, that's when you really start to realize there's some concerns there. Just even similar to addiction. If you start to see people are drinking substances, because I really do feel that addiction should be considered, it is a mental illness because it's in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders. Don't you agree, Cynthia?
Yep, I agree.
And is a mental health condition. And when it starts to affect your brain, because there's a chemical imbalance that occurs with the use of mood altering substances, and at times when you see yourself, individuals drinking, and it starts to affect their relationships with their spouse, their significant other, problems on the job, getting into legal problems, DWIs, and things to this nature, missing appointments, those are problems. But I wanted to say what was important, that not just that there's a scale and a range, but there also, I think it was you, Erica, that ask a question about, well, what do you do if you're noticing things with individuals? And sometimes you may be able to get them to move over to the side with you, but sometimes they may not move. And at that particular time, and you may not want to cause any disruption or make it appear unusual, like something is going on, and bring attention to the situation, you can just ask them, you want to take a few deep breaths or take a moment to compose yourself or whatever. That becomes important, because sometimes people are decompensating and they need to start to breathe. Breathing is very healing. It can allow you to really collect yourself. Sometimes when even we may get frustrated, I said, okay, woosah, let me take a breath. Let me let all of that tension and frustration out. And that is very helpful and a very simple thing to do, you know, right in the moment. But I was also going to say before, I don't want to take up too much time, is that your environment and how you keep your salon, make it welcoming, peaceful, serene, colors, different things that you have in there, some water, things like that. Sometimes you can give a person a water and that'll help to calm them down, because water is very healing. Even when you get in the shower, you know how you feel like you're refreshed when you come out. When you drink a glass of water or nice cool water, it does something to your system, as we are made up of water, a lot of water. So simple things like that, or saying something to distract a person from being frustrated, change the subject, have them focus on something else, that also is beneficial as well. But having a welcoming environment, creating peace, harmony, music, and things like that. So when they walk into your salon, what happens is they already feel at peace. They see that there's an energy inside your salon that is already consistent, and then they will move into that level of peace as well, hopefully. And that's just what I wanted to add.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Those are
welcome.
nice things. Yeah.
I think DJ was next.
Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, DJ.
Hi. So my question was, or just basically, a lot of us as cosmetologists, stylists, barbers, we have our own underlying mental illnesses. We, you know, some of us are have stressors that are not necessarily diagnosed. What would you suggest that we do? Because sometimes another person's stress can trigger our stress, right? We came into the salon, we were feeling good, we were feeling all right. We can get that one client, maybe a walk-in client that is coming in out of desperation, coming in out of whatever, and it can start to kind of trigger our own mental illnesses, or start to affect our own. And as Pat said, either our, let me look at my notes, the emotion or mental well-being, right? It can set off our emotions, but then it can also trigger our mental well-being, especially if we have any underlying conditions. Some people have been served in the military and have an underlying, or been traumatized and have post-traumatic stress disorder. It's something that is manageable, but if someone else comes and triggers that, if someone else comes in and tells a story, it can trigger our own stuff. So what type of coping mechanisms would you suggest for cosmetologists, stylists, and barbers who are now absorbing the stories, absorbing now the mental stresses that our clients may be having? And how do we protect ourselves through that? And I say this just on the auspices of knowing that sometimes therapists need therapists, right? So what are some
Right.
what are some of the can you just give a few pointers as to what we can do as stylists slash therapists, barbers slash therapists, to protect our own selves from vicarious trauma?
I'm gonna let Erica and Pat do this, because I have a session at 7.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to leave the meeting at this point, because I took an hour out. I usually do my sessions on Mondays, and so I'm gonna have to check out. You got 2 people who are very well versed. It sounds like they got this. If you need any more from me, like I said, the information, I can get that to all of the salons. So Pat, I'm gonna leave you and Erica. You guys hear me?
Yes. Okay,
Yes.
Okay.
Cynthia. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
I have.
Take care. Have a
Okay,
good
I'm gonna check out. I think you 2 got this, and I have faith in both of you. So I think you can answer all those questions that they're asking. I have a session I have to go to. All right.
Okay, have a good night, Cynthia.
Okay,
We'll
thank
talk
you.
soon.
All right. All right. Take care.
Take
Yes.
care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Erica, did you want to
You can
respond?
go
to-
ahead. Yeah, you can respond to it.
I was just asking the question for dialogue, but
Okay, for dialogue, anybody.
yeah, just for dialogue, just to get some expertise. But if Patricia, if you want to go ahead and talk about some of those things, I know that one of the techniques that have been helpful has been a technique called recentering. Sometimes we can get thrown into flashbacks just be based on someone else's story. And
Yeah.
so one of the techniques that I would just suggest to the group is that if you find yourself being affected or being triggered by someone else's story or something like that, and I brought up the word vicarious trauma. So vicariously living your own trauma through someone else's story or living their story through your own story, it can kind of set us off. And we can sometimes become so deeply involved, like say, for instance, many women who have been through domestic violence situations. And then if you yourself was ever victimized by those type of domestic violence situations, it can really set a trigger. So one of the things that I was able to learn as far as a technique that would help us is just to take a moment. It's a discipline, of course, for us, but to take a moment and look at what color is the wall. What color is the, where am I right then? So that you can bring yourself back to that present place, back to that present moment, and not get so drifted off into another realm or have that affect you as much. So that was another thing. Patricia, do you have anything to add to that as how we can recenter ourselves when we're being carried away?
Some may call it recentering or grounding. And I had talked about that before, that to distract a person, have them look a different place, have them calm down, breathe. It could be numbers, counting backwards from 10 or like you said, looking at a particular spot on the wall or something to that nature. But you want to really get, now you do that for yourself, but I think we also want to step back a minute, because y'all are not therapists, and we're almost getting into techniques that you
Exactly.
need to be a professional. I mean, you are cosmetologists and barbers, but you're not therapists. And now, although just like a bartender and police officers and so forth, people talk to you about these things. And you're put in a situation where people who have mental health concerns or they're having an off day, they talk to you about a lot. They have what they call a catharsis with their salon a person, cosmetologist or barber. And when they have a catharsis, that's an emotional release. So they feel comfortable enough with you to allow all of that to come up and have a release with you on that. And that's a very sacred place to be with another human being when they share some very intimate details about their life. So you want to respect and honor that, knowing that they have bestowed upon you a honor to be able to allow you into their sacred world. And a lot of people do not open up on those levels. You'll be surprised. You're probably not surprised, because they open up with you a lot, because you're touching them, you're doing something very intimate with them. And so they feel comfortable enough to get naked with you, per se. When I say naked, that doesn't mean physically naked, but that means
Yes.
emotionally naked. They will never, and you're a person that really doesn't have an outright personal interest, or that are going to necessarily judge, and they can go away and they'll still be themselves, and their dignity will be intact. So they feel comfortable to be able to disclose these things. And some of them have come to you for years. So you become a very close, intimate, even friend and confidant to them. So all of those things become important. And I think also, to get back to what DJ was saying about how important it is for
for us to protect ourselves,
barber or the cosmetologist, salonist, to be able to look at their own mental well-being and mal-being, because we are all have been affected, okay, by, and particularly people of color living in this country and dealing with racism. And now this has come to the surface. So you're going to see a lot more things happening, and people acting and reacting in certain ways, and instead of responding, because response is thought out, reacting is triggered. It's just with haphazard without any thought. And so with the COVID situation, COVID-19, this surge around racism in our country with policing, healthcare, all kinds of things that are going on. You're going to see much more of this going on, but it's not just happening to your clients, it's also happening to you. And how do you take care of yourself during this time is to recognize that when you're being stressed or you have different stressors and difficulties in your life, to do those things that really that enliven you, that make you feel comfortable and relaxed. You have to know yourself. There's an old
Uh-oh.
Hello?
She froze up.
Okay, well, can you?
Yeah,
is she still there?
yeah, I'm
All
here.
right, now-
So
Okay,
we have
now,
a question from Patricia. Thank you, Patricia. You froze for
Yes.
a little bit. We're wrapping up here. Thank you for everybody who's joining. But Patricia Kathy, it's in the chat, offered a very good point that she's bringing out. She says, "Hi, this is Patricia from Common Ground Health, joining from another meeting." She basically starts talking about a lot of complaints from various clients that have gone to shops and salons that share concerns about reopening. Was very clean and properly set up. Patricia's she on the line. Do you want to just speak to this, or to what your question is, while I look up the number, because there is a number to call from the state number for anyone that is not complying with the governor's guidance. So go ahead.
Okay, sure. Thanks. So I work with Jackie Dozier, and we work with the barbershops and salons for Get It Done initiative. And so I have talked to several people that have gone to various shops and salons, and their complaints were basically, what do you do? What do you say? When you're feeling very nervous and concerned about proper procedures not being done. They were expecting when they entered to have to sanitize their hands, to get the temperature checked at the door, for things to be wiped down right after, their use. And they're not seeing this, but they're feeling like I shouldn't have to say anything. So, they're asking, are they being paranoid? Are these things supposed to be done? Kind of where do you go from here?
Yes, I'm trying to find the number now. But there is, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, while you were finding the number, just, I was gonna try and answer a question a little bit
Go ahead, brother.
As far as like, depending on where these customers are going, because I know, I've had a lot of conversations with a group of barbers about reopening and preparing ourselves for reopening. There is a section of barbers that weren't proactive in reopening the proper way. So they should be as a customer, you should be having a conversation with your barbershop that you're going to, with that barber, to make sure they know about some of the things, because I know with the group I had going on, we weren't reaching every single barber in the city. So I think, good advice for those customers, if they can't get through to their barber, then using this number that Mr. Lightfoot is going to get to you would be your next step as a customer. But that conversation has to be had with that barber or that stylist, because, every barber, especially what I felt in some of the inner cities, they were just ready to get back to work and go business as usual.
Willie, I found the number.
Yeah, thank you. Let's put that in the chat, if you will, DJ. The number is, this is the New York State Attorney General Office's number. 1-212, I'll put it in the chat. It's 1-212-416-8700.
Okay, thank you.
So that, I'll put it in the chat so that everyone can see that number. But you're absolutely right that that's exactly one of the issues, and it's one of the reasons why my barbershop isn't open right now yet, because we're not ready. We haven't done the proper thing. We need to take some proper precautions. We need to make some adjustments to the shop. I wanted to make sure that also all of my barbers were tested. And I myself have been tested. You can go online and to our YouTube page and see me actually take the exam, so you can take away some of the fears. And I think I know some of our Johnny
Okay.
tested, but he's tested.
Was it that bad? Was it that bad?
Well,
It was
they
bad.
did me kind of dirty, but they did me kind of dirty. I got the twist, you know what I mean? And most people go in and out. I got the twist. So for some reason, I don't know if the lady heard of who I was coming or something. I don't know, but nonetheless, but the fact of the matter, Aretha, I'm going to get you in a minute. The fact of the matter is this: there are a lot of people who are not complying with the guidelines, and we know what's going to happen. When I took the COVID-19 Barbicide class, the one thing the lady said in that class, I thought it was one of the best classes I've taken concerning all this. It was a really good webinar. And she said, you want to verbalize everything that you're doing when that client comes in. I'm washing my hands. I'm putting down new paper. I'm doing this for your, cause so they can know that you're doing this for their safety and your safety.
That's right.
Now, I sent around a earlier today, and I'll have to repost that on our website. It'll go in our newsletter this week. For those of you who are not members of our newsletter, you don't have to be a member of U.P.B.C.A. to sign up for our newsletter. You can go to UPBCA.org, sign up for our newsletter so you can get all this information on a weekly basis. But one of the council members said something to me today, and it's a young lady who was tested positive, COVID-19. She's a hairstylist. And she did over 100 and something people, clients she did, positive with COVID. She wore a mask and her clients wore a mask and nobody got sick. So of course we're not saying we want people to do that, but we were just telling you how effective the masks are when you wear them. That's what that article told me, is how effective with them and their client wearing a mask. So I can't stress enough following the guidelines of washing your hands, all of this stuff, the county's giving away to the staff for free. I've had barbers call me and say, I won't go back to my shop because the owner won't even go get the free stuff.
Right.
Like, how do you not go get the free face shields and the free masks, the gloves and the hand sanitizer, all the stuff that you really can't find right now on Amazon, where that costs a lot of money, they're literally giving away for free. And if you go to our, again, I have to plug our website because all of this information, and Dr. Robinson has done a good job of keeping us updated with this information on our website. It's all on our website, UPBCA.org. It's all on there. You go on there, you go under that blog area where you see COVID-19 and you see everything going back all the way to March when we asked for the governor to shut down our industry or to make a guidance on our industry, because at one point in time, they weren't even including us in the shutdown. And we felt like we were really, really one that had more opportunity to spread the disease than any other industry. So I would say to folks, what's going to happen. Those people are going to go one time to that place, and then they're not going to go back again. I know I wouldn't. If I go into a shop and I don't see certain things, and they're not verbalizing certain things, and they're not showing that they're concerned about my safety and their safety, then I would not be returning. So I think that's what you're going to see happening in our industry going forward as we go through this COVID-19 and as we're dealing with this mental health thing. And I'm so glad we're having this conversation tonight, because I think oftentimes we don't take time to think about our own mental health as service providers. We are essential workers, even though they may have not listed us as that. We are that because we're the first line to our community in our salons and barbershops. So Aretha, did you have a question or a comment that you wanted to share with us?
Well, I have a comment. First, thank you so much for putting this together tonight. I'm enjoying it. But back to what you said about you posting yourself up getting that test. No, you made it worse. I was even scareder after I saw you get it. And I got the same thing. I got the jug up the nose, the twist, pull back out and twist again. So it was ridiculous. But once it was over, I was glad that I did it. But back to Patricia. Okay, to our defense, we also have customers coming in saying, you don't have to do all that for me. And we have to reiterate, no, I have to do this because the government says so. It's for your safety and mine. And I'm blessed with a location where there's a bathroom outside of the salon entry door. So everybody comes in, they have to go in the bathroom. I said, you said, you have to literally say everything that you're doing so that they'll know that you are compliant. I'm saying you have to wash your hands with the antibacterial soap that's in the bathroom. Then I want you to put these gloves on that I'm providing for them. You have to keep your mask on. When they walk in and they got a bottle of water or some food, we got to do just like they used to do at the airport. You have to drop that in the garbage can. You can't bring that in, so you're literally, you have to verbalize everything you're doing. And with me, I don't have the glass partitions up because I don't need them. It's just me. So I say to them, I didn't have to get the glass partitions because I only have one shampoo bowl. So there's nothing to separate. And then I said, my station is a double station. So there's a partition on one side and a stylist on the other side. So we're already divided. And then I have the 6-foot spacings on the floor. And it says, I had a maid. So they say we're better apart. And I tell them, excuse me, you can't sit down yet. Even though I sanitized the chair when the last client left, you need to witness me sanitizing it. So if someone gets sick, you'll be able to say, no, she took my temp. She made us wash our hands. She took my temp. And I sanitized the handles when they walked in from outside door. I sanitized the handles into the salon. And then I say, it's the law that you watch me sanitize the chair before you get in it. It's the law that you watch me sanitize the sink. So I make them watch me. And I don't know who else is doing this, but I took it upon myself to get a notebook. When they walk in, they have to sign their name. And I temp myself. And I show them that my temp is good. And they have to log their name, their temp, and the time they came in, and when they leave, they have to sign out, and then they have to sign it underneath their name. And I said, because if anything happened, I'm going to show them that I logged everything I did.
Right.
And I wear a shield, a mask, and a plastic robe, and they wear a mask and a plastic robe. And I make my plastic cakes out of the tarp that the painters use. I got a big roll, and I cut it when they come in. I squeeze it, I cut a hole in it, and I put it over their heads.
All right.
And
that's me.
I
tell them I don't have the petitions around me because I don't need them. It's just me and you.
Right. And that's the problem. That's the problem, though. Some of these barbers and salons, they're trying to bring in too many people.
You can't do
and
it.
I understand that, they're trying to get money back in and all of that, but they're not putting safety first. And that's where my concern is.
Yeah. And the clients keep telling you, you don't have to keep doing this. And I say, when you come to report on me, you're going to have to tell them that I drove you crazy with cleaning.
Right.
Well, you know what you might be able to add, Aretha, is maybe have some leaflets out around and organize on a piece of paper all of the things that you're required to do, and if they want,
I printed it off. Willie did a great job of sending us the pre-opening. I printed them and they're on the wall. I said, baby, I have to do this, 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 and this. I'm telling you, I have.
You know what you're telling them? You're showing them, modeling for them that you respect them. You respect yourself, you're respecting yourself, you're modeling that, you're showing that you respect them. This is why you do it.
Yeah.
And, with your tone, and I think it's important to prevent to escalate things.
Yeah.
So you want to de-escalate with your tone and make sure that they know that you're respecting them. And this is the reason why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And they also need to show respect.
I tell them all the time, we got to stay safe. We got to keep doing this. We got to stay here. We don't want to go back to lockdown.
Right.
And they will pay you up. Johnny, I saw your hand up, brother. And we wrapping up. We got about 5 more minutes, ladies and gentlemen. 7:30 is our time. We got to stop. Go ahead, Johnny.
My barbers were in for a rude awakening because when we got our COVID test, they thought after we were tested, I was going to let them work. I didn't let them work until we received our results. Our results. That's when we got with the thermometer and all the disposable hair cloths and everything. But we're not, man, we don't have a waiting area. We're getting paid online. We don't have a waiting area. There's nobody there's no more waiting area. There's nobody, you get buzzed in only if you have an appointment. So it's different now, man. And I'm liking it this way. That's why with the mental health thing, it's more easier and effective to be able to minister or talk to these people because there's no one around.
Yes.
My
More one-on-one, more one-on-one.
Exactly.
35 years plus. So my clients trust me. We have a prayer room in the back. You already know, man, my shop is a salvation.
Amen.
All right.
Doing things right. I like what you said.
I know we can go on with this topic all
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
So I want to say that, Shop Talk with U.P.B.C.A. is something that, our board sat down and decided that they wanted to do. It's been a blessing to this community. All of the whatever the people that may not be here, this is taped on YouTube, it's live on YouTube. People are watching on YouTube, as well as it'll be shared on Facebook, on our Facebook pages and all of our social media pages. And you can also share the link that I'll be sending to you and that will be sent out this week in our newsletter. I'll tell you this, that, what we've done, and I say collectively as an industry, I'm not talking about just our organization, I'm talking about collectively as an industry. What we've done in this city has been tremendous. We just don't understand the amount of people lives that we've saved.
Yes.
Because information saves lives. People perish for the lack of knowledge.
Right.
So we've been giving people knowledge from day one of this pandemic. We've been consistent in informing our industry on what's going on. And because of it, I can safely say that I don't know anybody that I know in the industry who's tested positive for COVID-19. So I think that is a result of us being consistent with following the guidelines that the governor has laid out, as well as being consistent with offering these classes and this information to the public. And WDKX, I want to thank them for being a strong supporter of us. Every time we do our events, they allow us to come on to WDKX and announce our events to the public, which is a blessing. And they don't have to do that, and they do. I want to thank this board, my U.P.B.C.A. board. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't put out the plug for if someone wants to be a member of U.P.B.C.A., you go to www.uppbca.org, click on Become a Member, and easily through PayPal, you can become a member with less than $15 a month. It's like $100 for the entire year, which gives you the benefits that are listed on our website. I want to thank Erica Brown for hosting this. I want to thank Cynthia Council and of course, Patricia Williams McGahee, who filled in as our clinician.
Patricia.
Yay, Erica. Thank you, everybody.
She's an amazing person. She's a part of our team, Team U.P.B.C.A. and Team Lightfoot, and she helps me do a lot of work as well as the rest of you. And so we're excited, and we want you to share this information when we send it out. Share it with other people because they need to hear some of the signs and symptoms of mental health. They need to hear what you can do. We found out in one of our sessions about 211, right? That 211 is a tremendous resource, and that a lot of people don't know when you call a suicide hotline, you're actually calling 211. So 211 is a resource that you can give people, especially those who are dealing with mental health, and especially those who may be on the cusp of saying they may want to harm themselves or others. Without any other further ado tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say that our next U.P.B.C.A. Shop Talk will be July 20th. It will be with Wade Davis will be the host, our very own Vice President Wade Davis, and Linda, the therapist, will be talking about wellness and your own physical wellness and well-being. And that's going to be on July 20th. You want to talk about that briefly, Mr. Davis?
Oh, yes. Also, I'm going to hit on some things because, we're talking about this new normal. And I know that everybody has heard so much about the mask and this and that, but I think we want to focus a little more on your personal well. I know I've been killing myself for years. I'm ready to work smarter and not harder. So we're going to talk about working smarter and not harder. Some of the things we touched on tonight might get touched on in that meeting. As you know, Linda, the massage therapist, is also a recovery coach. Stress is a big killer. So we're going to touch on a lot of great things that I think that we should consider as appearance enhancement professionals in moving forward.
Right.
You know, we had developed a normal, but there is a new normal, and it's not 16 hours in the shop no more.
Right.
You know, it is not being with your family and having some balance. So we're going to try to talk about some of those things next month.
All right, so we're gonna sign off. Erica, thank you again for hosting tonight. We thank Cynthia, we thank Patricia, we thank all of you for joining us tonight, and we look forward to we see you again. All right, peace.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, Erica.